Hello, I'm Jenell Harris, and welcome to 501c TV, the podcast that talks to system leaders, thought leaders, nonprofits, and nonprofit partners to find out what's new in the industry and find out about the season's latest events and happenings. And today, I am super excited to welcome to the show Bailey Hughes with The Hands and Feet. Hello, Bailey.
Hi, Jenell.
Bailey is such a dynamic person to have on the show today. The amount of things that she has accomplished in such a short time are pretty amazing and incredible. And I'd like to get into that. Let's talk a little bit about where you came from, Bailey, how you got into this, what the Hands and Feet does, and then also we have an event that we want to tell you about at the end of the show. So
Thank you so much, Jenell. It's kind of a full circle moment because we met you a couple years ago through a Facebook group.
Go figure. I know. You had my heart right away.
I am a former foster mom and adoptive mom. My husband and I started fostering in Palm Beach County in 2016, and we fostered all the way up until 2021. We adopted 4 children. They are now 10 and 8 biological sisters, Aria and Asia. We have a 4-year-old son named Jude and a 2-year-old son named Jonah. After we adopted Jonah, we closed our foster home. We had given our time and our family was full, our house was full, but it's really hard to walk away from everything that you've seen when you fostered for such a long period of time. We've had children that have been dropped off to us, including all of our 4 adopted children, and they often come with nothing but the clothes on their backs when they're removed from tough situations, unsafe situations, and they enter foster care and are placed with foster families. That means there's no relatives, there's no biological family, no non-relatives to be able to care for them. So that means that we are the last resort for them to have a safe place to land. So when we would have children dropped off to us, it was such a struggle because they would come with nothing. And oftentimes we make the joke that nothing happens before 7 p.m.
I was just going to say, I always see on your posts and your emails and all of your alerts that you send out that it's never like a normal hour of the time of day or night.
No, I feel like we all work the night shift.
It's all hours of the night. Yeah.
And we had, all of our children came to us in, rough situations. Really the most prominent situation we had would have been in 2019. There was a little boy who came into care. And we got a phone call. We had already had 4 children in our home at the time, and they said, we have a 2-year-old little boy. He is at the shelter right now with his sister. Is there any way that you would possibly want to take placement of him? We said, we're really full right now. We just don't feel that we have the capability of doing that. And so that was at like 6 o'clock. At 9:30 at night, we got a text saying, there's literally nowhere for him to go. He's sleeping on the office floor, which is at ChildNet, which is right in West Palm Beach. And we just need somewhere for the night. Is there any way that you could take him? And so you're not going to say no.
Of course
and
not.
So we said yes, and they separated him and his sister. He came to us. He showed up by 10:30 that night. He was asleep in the caseworker's arms, and he came with absolutely nothing but the clothes on his back, which were too big and ratty, and I had nothing because we were not taking placements.
Right.
And I dug in the back of the closet, found one pajama that fit him, and was like, I guess I'll figure this out tomorrow. This was prior to COVID, before delivery services were all the rage, and so it wasn't like you could just go onto Target and have it delivered in 2 hours. That was not a thing.
Yeah.
So I just knew that there had to be a better way, but I was in the chaos of foster care, and I couldn't do anything about it at the time. So after we closed our home to fostering, I just felt like this need of children that come into care and they don't have the items that they need is such an important and vital part, because there's so many other service agencies that do so much other stuff, which is incredible, but where is that delivery service of the items? And in a lot of areas, especially Palm Beach County, there's closets that you can go to that are clothing closets, and they have items there, but they're certain hours and there are only certain items. And so it was really hard for us to get what we needed, and then we could spend a bunch of money, but I mean, that's money that should be used elsewhere to care for the extra child, and the state does help, but it takes a month of back pay. So it's just a lot of red tape, and I just knew there had to be a better way. So my sister, who lived with us at the time, her name's Michaela, we kind of had this idea of like, why don't we just offer the delivery service? Why don't we become DoorDash for foster care is what we kind of coined the term.
Yes.
And we were going to use foster closets that were already in the area, and we were just going to be the delivery service. And that idea was sparked in June of 2021, the very end of June. And by July 1st, we had kind of realized that we were onto something. Our very first family that we ever served was a foster family who was taking in a sibling set of 3. It was a 17-year-old who was pregnant with her 1-year-old son and her 13-year-old sister. They were human trafficked from Guatemala and left in a parking lot in Lake Worth. And so we got a call at 10 o'clock at night saying they're coming to this foster home. They have absolutely nothing. They're with FBI and police right now. They're going to be dropped off. The foster family only takes newborns. They've never taken teenagers. So we went to CVS because Walmart now closes at 11. So you can't even go to Walmart.
Come on, Walmart.
And apparently, if you needed to know this, CVS sells some random clothing items and undergarments.
The things you learn.
The things you learn,
at
right?
11 o'clock at night.
And we delivered everything. Michaela and I did at about 12:30 in the morning. And then we made an Amazon wish list, and we reached out on social media, and the whole community just started to wrap around this family, and we realized we were onto something.
Which I think is how I ended up finding you, was through that post. So on one of the mom groups that I was on, I'm scrolling through, it was late at night, and I said, oh my gosh. And I told Scott, my husband, I said, this is genius, because you guys had this Amazon wish list, and to be honest, who doesn't love Amazon?
Yeah.
And I feel truly that if you make it easy for people to give, they want to give. And also the thing for me that I saw was, it's different when you're donating money or items that are going somewhere. You know you're helping. But there was this was in our backyard. And, these are kids that could be sitting next to my kids in class. And, unbeknownst to anyone, they're going through this traumatic time in their background. And, to me, that just struck a chord with me. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. How am I not seeing this? And, literally went on, clicked on Amazon, select the items that you want, and boom, they were shipped, and you helped somebody, and you knew exactly who it was going to and what it was for. And I think it was just absolutely genius.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how then I was stalking Bailey. I'm like, who is this Bailey person? And how is she doing this? And this is crazy. And, and then after knowing you for the last few years, it's just been, your family is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
You guys are just such good people. And, the short amount of time that you guys have been able to do this, and it's just such an easy recipe. And I think that the community really wraps around you guys, because you make it easy, and also, you're telling the story, and it's our community, and that's what makes it so purposeful, I think, and why so many people have wrapped their arms around Hands and Feet.
Yeah. And I think that's where we said we want to make this easy. So after we had this idea, that weekend I went on Etsy and I bought a logo, and Michaela said, what are you going to do with that? And I said, I don't know. I guess we'll figure it out on Monday. And we coined the term the Hands and Feet. And that was really because, our background and our just personal beliefs are, we want to be the hands and feet of Jesus. But then on the flip side, we also don't want that to be limited in any facade to anyone, because we serve all families. So now while we have personal beliefs, the organization as a whole is there's no religious affiliation. And we say a lot now that we are the hands and feet of the community. And we give people that way to wrap around. And last month alone, we will post these Amazon wish lists for children, and it gets shipped directly to those families, which is, it's not coming to us, it's going to them. And so last month we had over $9,000 purchased on Amazon, which is wild.
It is incredible. And again, it's also like a time factor. So it doesn't have to come to Bailey, and then Bailey's got to find somebody to take those supplies directly to the home where the children are. It's like on your door.
Yeah.
It's the DoorDash.
Exactly.
Or the Amazon, whatever you want to say. And I think it's genius. And we'll talk a little bit about the growth that you've had, because you're not just in Palm Beach County anymore. You're in 2 other counties, so 3 counties total. And again, you guys, this is 2 years. I'm just saying, like, this is an incredible thing. And I want to back up a little bit and talk about a lot of our viewers are nonprofits, and they might be a new nonprofit. So tell me a little bit about, like, maybe your top thing, or maybe top 2 things about, 2 years ago, I wish I would have known. Like, what have been some of the challenges that you guys have had early on starting up a nonprofit?
It's really difficult. In the beginning, we were all doing this full volunteer based. Right now we have 4 employees and 2 part-time employees. And I didn't know my background is education. I was a teacher for 5 years, and I had a friend and said, I don't even know what to do to submit tax documents. How do I do this?
Yes.
And so I think, if you have this idea and you really want to go for it, I think the first thing is make sure that there's not someone that's already doing it. Our thing is that there's many foster closets, but there was no one offering a delivery service. So that's our niche. Yeah. And while we're very niche, because we only serve families that have involvement with the Department of Children and Families and have an investigation or are in foster care, that's our heart and soul, and we can't help everybody.
Correct.
But we have other organizations we can refer out to. So I think that that's important to know what your heart and passion is, because you can want to do everything, but you can't do everything.
Correct. Yeah. And I was talking to another nonprofit that does, like, refurbished medical equipment, and he said the exact same thing. He said, first, find out if there's somebody that's doing this that maybe you can partner and team up with. And to your point, in Palm Beach County alone, there's so many agencies and nonprofits that, there's probably a lot that you can work with lockstep to get your mission out there without having to recreate the wheel and do all those things.
Right.
So, but I will say, I tell everyone about you, because it's such an impressive story. Just for all the things that you juggle. You guys, not only does she do all this, but she has 4 kids of her own. So let's just
you have a lot of children too.
So we have a lot of kids combined, but it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of time and heart and soul, and hard days and good days and good stories, and heartbreaking stories, I'm sure. But it's I'm totally impressed, and I've always been impressed. I don't know, for some reason I just was, like, drawn to you from that first post that I saw. But tell me a little bit now about your expansion. So you guys, you set up your 501c3, and we talked a little bit about that. It became official on Valentine's Day, which was super cute. Great day. And then from there, tell me about how you guys expanded.
So it's kind of like the blind leading the blind. I didn't know what I was doing. And 2 weeks later, someone, her name's Kristen West, and she is a single foster and adoptive mom in the Treasure Coast, which encompasses 4 counties in the Treasure Coast. And she said, I want to bring this here. The Treasure Coast is a unique area. It's very rural. The resources are very minimal. It is starkly different than Palm Beach County, but it's our neighboring county. Yeah. And so that reaches from Hope Sound all the way to Sebastian and all the way west to Okeechobee. And she said, I want to bring this here. And I said, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, so I guess we can figure this out together. Right. So 2 weeks after we launched in Palm Beach County, we also launched in the Treasure Coast. And I just was like, I guess we'll figure it out. That was our mission. For me, I'm a doer. I'm not a thinker. I do a lot of things without thinking, which has gotten me in trouble sometimes, but whatever. So in this facade, it's paid off. And then in January of 2022, another really good friend of mine, another single foster and adoptive mom, and her really good friend, Katie, so Diana and Katie, they launched in Broward. And so we have no intentions to expand any further. We feel that our heartbeat is here in South Florida. Yep. Do not ask us if we're going to Miami, because the answer is no. Everyone asked me that, and I said, I'm sure. I have no intentions. But our heart beats for South Florida. I did not grow up here. I grew up in the Midwest, but I've lived here since 2009, and I love it here. And the needs are vast, and they will never go away.
Correct.
And everybody can do something. And I got so frustrated when people would say that, but then no one's giving you a way to easily do something. And so maybe we use social media. That's our way of really telling stories. And we say we flip the script on foster care and the awareness of foster care, because what we do is we take local stories that are happening that we really see. We remove all identifying information, so it's still confidential. Right. And we tell the story to the community and say, did you know that this happened in your backyard? Because people don't know.
No, they don't.
In foster care, I had someone say to me, your social media is such a damper. And I said, foster care is a damper, to be quite honest. That's even putting it nicely. Foster care is hard, and it is difficult, and it is traumatic. And our mission is to bring some love and dignity and worth to those families by delivering everything that they need within 48 hours to their family. Literally, before we walked in here, I had a mom who's struggling. She has an open case. She's trying to keep her child with her instead of her child being removed. She's going through a lot, and she said, I'm crying. The couple clothes you gave me are so nice, and I just can't say thank you enough. And for us, that took 5 minutes and a volunteer delivering it. But for her, she said, someone showed up at my door and showed me that my community loves me. Yeah. And that alone makes more of a difference than what you're even actually giving them.
And that's what I love, because, your lists are so comprehensive. There's all different types of things on there, and it doesn't really take a lot. Like it's, and it's a lot of different people kind of lending a hand, so that the whole, I love your social media. I don't find a damper on it. I think it's important to tell the story, because just because you turn your eye and say, I don't want to see it, doesn't mean it's not happening. It is rampant around here, and it's a lot. And like I said, because I have kids in Palm Beach County School District, this could be their classmates, that's heartbreaking to me. So I think your social media is awesome. And the thing that I love on your social media is when you post a list and then it's like, boom, list is fulfilled. And I'm like, I literally was just on here like 30 minutes ago. So it also gives me hope and faith in humanity that there are so many really good people out there that, they might not have a lot of their own, but they are just out there. They're giving, and they're contributing the best way that they can with as little or as much as they can, which is, that's community.
We love it, because we call them our little fairies in the night. We'll post an Amazon wish list, and 9 times out of 10, it's fully bought out. And a wish list usually is anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 worth of items that a whole family needs. And we'll go to bed, and then the next morning it's cleared out. And so we call them our fairies in the night. We don't know who purchases it.
Totally.
And it's just so cool, because we'll have these massive amounts of Amazon packages that show up on people's doorsteps. And it's just such a, who doesn't love mail? And who doesn't love things that you get to open for yourself? Totally. And it's these children that really haven't had that. And we really serve, so we're serving foster families, but we are serving a lot of biological families and a lot of relatives, non-relatives, that the state does not support near as much as they do as licensed foster parents like myself. Correct. Yeah. And I think we're preventing removals, which is a huge thing. If a child can safely stay in a home with a family, that's the best situation versus being removed.
What would you say is the ratio of kinship placements versus?
So we just did our numbers last month. We served 277 children last month, which is the highest number we've ever served.
Bailey, that's
it's crazy.
That's incredible.
It's a 31% increase from February to March, which is wild. Of those 277 children, there were approximately 10 foster children that were with licensed foster families, and the 267 were either youth that have aged out, or they were with biological and kinship placement. Biological families are our highest one. We get referrals directly from anyone. Anyone can self-refer through our website, but mostly child protective investigators.
Got it.
Who are directly going into that home, and they say there's the baby and the 2-year-old are sleeping in the bed with the parents because they don't have a crib. So we're able to provide that crib, and then DCF they can worry about services that need to be put into place, mental health therapy, parenting classes, those kinds of things, versus not worrying about the small little tangible things you need.
Right. Now, one thing I did notice when I was looking through your website, which I love, your website's awesome. I love a good, I love a good nonprofit website.
We just redid it.
I love it. I'm giving you kudos. It looks great, and a lot of really good information there. So we'll put that up at the end of the podcast. But one thing I did notice on there, which is a really interesting area that a lot of people don't know or realize is an unmet need, are the kids that are aging out of foster programs. So. And what struck me on your website was that people can volunteer their time to be a mentor to these kids, to give them the life skills and the support and friendship, even to get through and learn life skills that they probably don't have.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool because I didn't realize that you guys did that.
Yeah. So our first program is our supporting hands, and that is our delivery service. That's our main program, what we do. Our other program is called our guiding hands program, and that's where we will take a youth that has aged out of foster care. So when you are 18, you technically age out, but the state still provides help until 22. So they will provide, housing, or they will provide financial assistance, whether you're in school or you have a job. And but what we found is that there's group homes in the county, and that's where a lot of harder to place teenagers are at. And when they turn 18 on their 18th birthday, their birthday gift from those group homes is to be kicked out, which is it's just horrible.
Yes.
I had a social worker tell me, we were cheering the other day because they allowed her to stay until 2 p.m. And I said, are you kidding me, on her 18th birthday? And so these youth literally can only take their clothes. They're not allowed to take their bedding or anything else, and they're moving into an apartment and they have nothing. And so what we do is we have this program where we are referred different youth, and we it started small, but through a gift through One Simple Wish, which is another awesome organization, and Mary's Giving Fund, which is a grant, we've been able to provide $500 per youth, and then a volunteer can come in and they can take them shopping. And then
awesome.
That volunteer and that youth have the chance to get to know each other, and we hope that it cultivates a relationship outside of it. But from a volunteer perspective, it's a short blip of time that you're not committed to forever.
Sure.
But you get to teach them, like, hey, maybe don't get the $5 bread, get the $2 bread to save your money.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And maybe you don't need all like the fake plants for like decor.
Exactly.
Let's get some like cooking utensils that we can use or something like that. I think that's huge. I mean, and I thought that was really cool when I saw that on your website. So tell me about some other ways that people listening in that are in the area can help out if they want to help.
So we have really 3 or 4 very specific ways. We take gently used donations, and we have drop sites all throughout Palm Beach County, Broward County, Treasure Coast. It's all on our website. We use Instagram for everything, and Facebook. So it's also in there. So we will take your gently used baby through teen clothing, baby gear, all that kind of stuff. We love when people host drives for us. So whether it's a school supply drive or it's a diaper drive, we think that that's just an incredible way to get everybody involved to give back. We also use volunteers to deliver the supplies to families. We do not deliver them unless we have to. We use volunteers which is really cool because you get the opportunity to pick up the items that we've prepared, and you get to go and meet the children and the families and see in your backyard, this is the family that you're impacting. So it's really hands-on experience. You go through a background screening process and everything to make sure that, they're safe on their side and our side. And then we also have, just if you're not local, you can sign up to become what we call wish listers, and you get an email and a text anytime we've posted a wish list.
Wish lister.
So I think you're a fairy of the night. And then we also have volunteer opportunities too in our centers that we have to come in and sort donations. We actually right now have a group from the Breakers that are there because we had 14 bins of clothing donated, which is awesome, but it takes a lot of time to go through everything and get it where it needs to be.
For sorting and donating, is there an age limit?
No. So we say
Good to know.
and what we also love is that we will have people that will, for their volunteer hours for school, because we have a lot of high school students and middle school students that need volunteer hours. And so they'll say, can I do a drive for as much as I collect, get 10 volunteer hours? Or we say too, This is my
Smart
favorite
kids.
story. This is my favorite story. We have a 16-year-old boy that I don't think they volunteer as much anymore, but he needed all these he went to King's Academy and he needed all these volunteer hours. And so his mom she would drive him around, bless his little 16-year-old soul. And she was like, you're going to go to that door and pick up that car seat. And he was like mortified. Like, I have to carry this car seat.
Yes, you do. You want the hours? You're picking up the chair.
And so she would make him like do everything. Like, good for her. Like, go mom. But he was just like in his teenage angst, like, oh, this is so not fun.
Yes.
But like by the end of it, like after he had done it quite a few times, he's like, is there anything else I could do to help? And I was like, oh, look at that.
We've turned a corner.
So I think that's cool too, because you can. Like, we also say it's really good for volunteering for, like, moms that are busy that just need their kids in the car.
100% why I was asking, because I know, personally, a lot of moms that might have younger kids that, are not in school yet. And they're always like, I want to volunteer and give my time somewhere. But a lot of places they're limited on, you have to be a certain age to come in and do it. And I get it. Like, food sorting facilities where you're in a big warehouse.
You don't need a 2-year-old.
Yeah, you don't need a 2-year-old running around. But, like, going through bins and things like that.
Yep.
Totally something. So keep that in mind if you're in the area, because I think that's an awesome thing. I know my kids would easily do that. So, okay, that's very cool. I love it. And then tell me more. Where was I going with this? We talked about the volunteering. If you're a business, if you're a business and you want to do a collection drive that you mentioned, what's an item that you guys really need right now?
So right now our biggest need is clothing, always clothing. But we also have a huge need for like children's hygiene items. So we get a decent amount of like adult shampoo, but like if I put adult shampoo in my 4-year-old's, he's screaming because it's burning his eyes. So a lot of those things, pull-ups, we have a really great relationship with the Cotton Bottom Diaper Bank, which they're like, we adore them. They're just the greatest diaper bank in Palm Beach County. So we get continual supply of diapers every month to meet our needs.
That's great.
But we don't usually have a need for diapers as much, but definitely shoes as well, or comfort items like new blankets or school supplies, backpacks, those kinds of things. School uniforms. Now that we're getting towards the end of the year, if you have school uniforms that your kids haven't totally trashed yet. I mean, most of ours are trashed, but we definitely need those because we have kids that come in, not the trash ones, but we have kids that come in that need those items.
And we're talking like the plain polos and your khaki shorts and skirts and all that stuff. Exactly. Okay, that's great. So if you would like to donate those things, make sure you check out Hands and Feet, because they need those items desperately. So, Bailey, thank you so much for joining us today. Incredible story. Bailey, watch Bailey, because I can't even imagine where Bailey's going to be in another 5 years. Look what she did too. So anyway, check out handsandfeet.com. Obviously on social media, you guys are all over social, which is amazing, on Facebook and Instagram to find your posts. We'll put those links up here. And Bailey, anything else that you want to say before we go?
Thank you for having me. It's handsandfeetfl.com.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Not handsandfeet.com, handsandfeetfl.com.
Yeah, but no, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, thank you. And thank you so much for joining us again on 501c TV. And as usual, we want to thank you so much to Kana House Studios, Wellington's first and only social content creation studio. Thanks for having us, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.